As we move forward, it's really important that you know these words. So we're going to cover them real briefly here. A pea plant can be yellow, big Y, capital Y, or green, lowercase y. What percentage of the offspring will be green? If a heterozygote, notice the words, yellow plant is crossed with a green plant. So let's define our variables. Capital Y is yellow. Now the color is the phenotype, the letter is the genotype. Lowercase y is green. Now we want to cross a heterozygote, which is two different letters. So a capital Y and a lowercase y are different letters. One's capital, one's lowercase. With a green plant. A green, the only way it can be green if it's two lowercase letters. So a yellow, heterozygote, and a green, which is a homozygous recessive. So we have to know how to name these. Well, we could have three different combinations always with the type of genetics we are doing. You can have uppercase, 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 lowercase, or lowercase, lowercase. These are the genotypes. Three different genotypes. Now let's name the phenotypes for these three. This is two dominant yellows. Two yellows here, see? This is dominant because it's capitalized, so dominant version of the gene, and it's yellow. And we have two dominant, so this would be yellow. This one we have a dominant yellow and a recessive green. Recessive is lowercase, so we have yellow because the dominant always wins over the recessive. And lastly, we have two recessive greens, which will give you green. Anytime you have even one dominant, the dominant will win. Now we're not going to do this whole problem. We're going to do plenty of those later. But we are going to practice is naming these. We have to be able to name these and know the phenotype, which is the color, and the genotype, which are the letters. So we're going to do a lot of practice with those because before you move on to the Punnett squared problems, it'll be super hard if you do not know how to name these. So here are a bunch of genotypes. Okay, notice there's no phenotype here. We're not talking about the color. We're just talking about the letters of the genes. So we're going to practice naming these. Notice we have two capital letters here. Both are dominant. Notice they're different letters, not using Y anymore. But we know that they're homozygous because there's two of the same letter. And when they're both dominant, so we know it's dominant. So here we would write homozygous dominant. Let's do this one. Both are the same, lowercase b, same. So homozygous again. But are they dominant or recessive? They're recessive because both are lowercase. Now let's do this one. Notice it's different this time. Uppercase and a lowercase, so they're different. The word for different is hetero. Zygous means combination. So different combination, heterozygous. Now because there's a capital, technically you'd call this heterozygous dominant. But because it's always going to be dominant, if it's heterozygous, we leave it out usually. But you don't have to actually write, that's why I wrote it in parentheses. So this one right here, can you name it? Homozygous, because they're both capital, and is it dominant or recessive? Homozygous, dominant. And you should always write out the whole word. Don't ever shortcut it on like a test or anything. See if you can do all the rest. Remember, if it's the same letters, then it's homozygous. If it's different letters, such as this one, it's heterozygous. If If they're capitals, it's dominant. If they are lowercase, it's recessive. Here are the answers to all of our genotypes.